Welcome back. I'm still working on the same one. It's crazy. There's no reason for me to not keep the extender on either, I don't think. Cause like, yeah, so like last time we finished off, we had to put the extender on. You know what? Hold on a second. I feel like I remember first time I ever played this game. I ended up settling on using like just like the long extension or maybe even the medium extension ended up being like, I feel like maybe that one ended up being the sweet spot. I feel like I remember there was a sweet spot because it's like you want to have that long one for, you know, like we had last time with all the issues of trying to get the flim flam and tops of all those pillars taken care of. But in general, it's a little too long and cumbersome to deal with. I guess the stubby gun kind of comes into play like in these situations, because like you know, if you wanna just do the stubby gun like that, then you can really get in these underneath nooks and crannies. Yeah, that's really just what I need to do is be more intelligent about these. Look at it. Look at me. Look at me using strategy for Powerwasher simulator. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? That's probably what I need to do. That'll probably expedite this process a little bit and finishing all these things up. Making sure I'm using the right tool. Isn't that like what every hardware, you know, every home improvement person always says, right? You gotta make sure you got the right tool. It makes perfect sense. It is a very logical thing to say regarding it all. But also it's like, you know, I'm not actually a professional at this, so I don't know what I'm doing. Good lord. Not even close to knowing what I'm doing. I'm making this all up as I go. That's life in general, too. That's not just this game. I have no idea what I'm doing. Why would anyone ever trust me with anything? It's a bad idea. It's just a horrible idea. Because, and I can't emphasize this enough, I've already said it, but I cannot say it enough, I don't know what I'm doing. Never have, probably never will. Welcome to my life as an adult. Probably a similar experience for most other people. Anyways. So I just learned a fun fact. This is a really fun fact. Like a genuinely fun fact. Okay, most people are familiar with, you know, My Chemical Romance. When I was a young boy, my father, you know, that whole thing, took me into the city. See the black parade. That's not actually the lyrics. I kind of expedited it for the sake of making the point. Okay, that guy, the singer, the lead singer for that band. He, before he did that, did like amateur wrestling, and I'm talking like WWF, you know, style wrestling. He did that amateur before he before he became like a world famous rock star. And before anyone gets on my case, oh, he was way too emo to be a rock star. It's a type of rock, okay? Let's not get pedantic about the fun fact of how a famous singer, whether you like his music or not, he is a very famous singer. He started off as a wrestler. And that didn't work, so he was like, well, fine, I guess I'll just become a famous musician instead. Or so I like to imagine the story went. I don't know, that's just a fun little story. And if you disagree, then you're wrong. Because that is a fun story. So there you go. Those types of things really are just kind of amusing, though. And I think it actually is a really interesting thing to think about. Because, like, I mean, maybe I shouldn't speak for the collective everyone. Maybe I shouldn't use the, you know, the royal we here. But, like, so when I think about musicians, I don't often think, like famous people in general, I don't often think about them as being, how do I put this? I don't think about them as like perhaps becoming a famous musician was the fallback, right? I don't think about it from that perspective, nor do I think about them as being people that had out there hobbies beyond what they ended up being famous for. And that makes sense. And I guess I can further explain that a little bit. So it's like, not that necessarily being a famous musician was the fallback, but like maybe being a musician was sort of a fallback for him. Like music was something, and like fallback really isn't really the right word for it either, but maybe it kind of was. Like for someone who's artistic in general, right? And someone who's convinced they want to create something for a living. Because like for me, I think about this a lot. Like I am a very artistic kind of person. I play instruments. I write. I I do sports, which I think, especially something like kickboxing, actually does involve a certain degree of creativity to think about strategies and stuff like that. So I do consider myself a very creative person, but I kind of saw to that creativity all the different creative pursuits that I have and have had in my life. The fallback to that was the fact that I also have a decently analytical mind and can handle things like science and math and all that kind of stuff. And I've kind of built a career, I pay my bills off of that stuff, which tends to be a bit more practical. Not better, but like more practical. There are more people looking to hire someone and pay them a living wage for those skills, right? So it's like I look at that kind of stuff and I think of that as being the fallback to, I never made it as a famous musician, or I never made it as a famous writer. So it's like that's the fallback. And it's interesting to me to think about, like, a musician, like what if, like, for him music was the fallback. What if like his entire life, his entire childhood was just that into wrestling, that's what he wanted to make a career out of. It wasn't even just a hobby for him, right? Like it was a career that he wanted to have, but he couldn't make it. Like he couldn't break into it for one reason or another. One, because the market's pretty small and pretty tight and probably pretty saturated. You get a bodybuilder who's got at least a little bit of, drama and athleticism in him, that he's willing to fall down and sell that, he just got punched in the face or whatever. And you got a guy who can, at least skill-wise, he can do what the job entails, even if it's not necessarily he's the best at it. He can do the job. So it's like the pool of people capable is probably pretty large compared to the number of people that we need to fill that niche of a career, right? So it's like, maybe for some reason he wanted it, but for any of those combined reasons, he couldn't make it. And maybe that's a disappointment to him, right? And so, but he was always good at making music, and like at the time, he was able to make money. Like maybe that was like he was just doing smaller gigs at local venues because he was good at songwriting and singing, and could be in bands that would make a little bit of money. I'm sure all of this is like recorded, and I'm way wrong about what his career trajectory is and was, right? But I'm just kind of riffing at the concept, using him as an example for just a larger thought here. But it's like maybe he was making money like that, and then like he was trying to make it as a wrestler, or wanted to make it as a wrestler, but then, that didn't pan out. But the reason it didn't pan out is because while he was doing that, the band got big. And so it's like, even though he made it as a famous musician, maybe like part of him in his heart is always like, man, it would have been so fun if I could have, been a world famous wrestler, right? Maybe he goes and does like, shows for hundreds of thousands of people in the band and thinks to himself, yeah, but if only I was like doing fucking people's elbows, power diving off the ropes, I'd be so happy if I could do it that way. You know what I mean? Like, we don't think about that, but it's like, I bet you there are a lot of famous people that like look at it that way. Like they got famous doing one thing, but they would have rather been famous doing that other thing, Or the other one, like I kind of started to say too, that I think about, or that it kind of made me think about, is like the concept of famous people having like those sorts of hobbies. Like when someone's famous for being a musician, at least I know for me, not that I don't think of them as humans that would even have hobbies or anything, but more so in the sense of like, I feel like there's kind of a default assumption that music was the hobby, and they got lucky enough to make music or make a career out of their hobby by like being able to produce music. But it's like, what if it was just like music is what they're skilled at, and they kind of, just because of how things turned out, were able to make a career out of it, but really they do just look at it as a job, right? They're just like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm really good at playing the guitar. Or maybe there's an actor out there that's like, hey, you know what? You know, like maybe Gary Oldman wakes up every day and he's like, you know what? I'm not like super into this. I got other things I'd rather be doing today, but like I'm really good at doing this acting thing and people pay me a lot of money, so I guess I'll just do that to pay the bills. Right? Like maybe like I don't think, I know for me I don't think, and I imagine a lot of people don't think of celebrities as sort of like in that light, in that potential, like, you know, that potential perspective of, you know, just being a guy who has wildly different hobbies, right? Maybe he still does do amateur wrestling, and it's like this weird like in some small town wherever he's living, right? There's just this like little like niche of the world where like he's locally famous more so because he's, you know, the human ham hock whatever, and like doing, you know, just like power bombing people and, you know, full Nelson slamming people to the canvas, you know, because he's like has like more of a passion for that. You know, it's like maybe that's what musicians do when they go on hiatus, right? Or actors do when they're taking downtime away from the big screen, is they just like go, maybe there's some out there that like, you know, they join roller derby and it's like everyone in town knows that they're famous for being an actor or actress, but they don't even think of them that way anymore because all they do is like they see them like being there, you know, at the local, I don't know, the local black box theater or whatever, and they just like do small local things like that just because it's a hobby. I don't know, it's an interesting thought to me. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks about that. And I'm not like sitting here trying to be like, we shouldn't be so hard on celebrities. There's people too. It's like the flip side of it is like a lot of celebrities do boneheaded things because they have all that money and access to things, and their hobbies include, you know, getting high on cocaine every night. So it's like getting high on cocaine and, you know, getting blitzed out of their mind and crawling through strangers' windows. There's plenty of celebrities that kind of end up doing that too. So it's like, I don't mean it to be like a, all of them are innocent, more innocent than we give them credit for kind of way either. I don't know, man. I'm just thinking out loud here. Thinking out loud. Maybe we found love right where we are. Ed Sheeran. Wonder what Ed Sheeran is up to. Wonder what his hobbies are. Right? Maybe Ed Sheeran is like secretly just like a bartender at his local pub. He's not doing it for the money. He's just doing it exactly because he loves the process of like spinning drink shakers around and all that kind of stuff. You know? Like, who would know? Who would know? Only the people in town if they keep it a secret. Although I feel like that kind of stuff would probably get out. But that's the other thing too. Maybe that it's not a secret, but it's just because it's not what they're famous for. No one cares about it, or at least like the media doesn't think that people care about it, so they don't advertise that stuff. Like maybe that there's like a market. Maybe that's what I should do. Is like find a market that just like researches what celebrities do in their free time. Although that actually sounds really invasive and predatory, very similar to paparazzi, and I would not ever want to be that kind of person. Paparazzis are just, I don't know, that feels like the ultimate societal leech, right? Like they literally make a living off of other people's fame and drama. Like if that's not leech behavior, I don't know what is. And that's what we're missing. We're getting the underlip here. Yeah, paparazzi I have very little sympathy for. They're gross people. Or at least they tend to be. I don't know that I've really ever heard a story about a particularly good and altruistic paparazzi. Paparazzo? I don't know what they're called. Go. Let's monitor here. How are we doing on time right now? I'm not even paying attention. Oh, we're only like halfway through the episode. We got all kinds of time. I don't know if we got all kinds of finish this area time, but we got time. Keep on going here. There we go. Got that clean. Let's grab this side here. Boo-be-doo-boo-boo. Oh, you know what we can do here? One thing that'll probably help a little bit. Be done with a stubby gun. Let's go ahead and get our like long extension here. We can kind of see things from a little bit further away. Might make it a bit easier. We used the stubby gun from when we were going like underneath the table and chairs and stuff, but we don't really need that anymore. Maybe we can kind of step away from that and use our long gun tools here. Like I say, now that I'm remembering, that was actually, I feel like I remember in like the first time I ever played through this game, just the standard. There really was, like, you know, for some specific jobs you'll switch, but there really was kind of like a sweet spot for the different nozzle lengths and stuff. That actually it does seem to be paying off to be paying attention to that now. I definitely was not paying attention to that when we first started. When I say first started, I mean entirely up until basically this episode. I think maybe it was the last one. Finish that other area. I don't remember. Oh, hell, I don't know. Okay, what's still dirty on the monitor case? Okay, there we go. Oh. I think we got everything with the Hand of Justice machine. It's clearly just a slapper. It's just a slapper. It slaps people. That's all it's for. It's obvious. Everyone can see it. It's a little inappropriate. Some people might be into it. I don't know. Don't kink shame. Don't judge. Yeah, see, it's like in this situation, this is where it might be beneficial to pull out the stubby gun again. Right, so we can get in there and get some slightly better angles going on here. Yeah, I feel like this is already paying off a little bit here. Yeah, this is absolutely the way to be doing this. Yeah, it's like, so to be able to get that little bit of chair, being able to get closer kind of gets you better angles and stuff. Yeah. Still need to get, yep, just that little bit there. Go. Along here. In all this area since we're at it. We'll see how quickly like the next 1 or 2 sections go here. I might let this episode go long so we can finish the SpongeBob, because while I intend to play more Powerwasher, like I actually played back when I was streaming, you can find on the channel, I think there's like some really old videos of me doing Powerwasher on stream. And what I might do is go back and redo it, because I definitely deleted the save file from all that, which I have no problem with having done that. It's not like there's, you know, really important, hard to get achievements in this game. This game is all just about relaxing. It's like buying a new copy of the same coloring book because you like the pictures in it. Like, it's kind of whatever. But at any rate, I think I'll probably go back and redo all those maps and do all the ones that I haven't done already. But I think that might be a long-term project that, like, in times when I just need a little bit of mental break from maybe more complicated games and stuff, we can pull out this one and kind of just have an easier time for a little bit without having to worry about complex stories and dialogues and stuff like that. Because as much as I love games that have all those kinds of things, if you do too many of them, sometimes it can get a little exhausting. You do too many of them in quick succession and all that, so we'll just kind of, the moral of the story is it can behoove us to have some more of this game in our back pocket that we can play for when those types of times come. Like, I could see myself really wanting that when the holidays come, because, like, I'm recording this in September, which means we're about 1.5 to 2 months away from, like, the holiday season hitting hard. And the thing about the holiday season is it, like, while it's mostly very good, and I love my family, and I love getting to see the people that I get to see during the holidays, it is also chaotic and stressful because there is just so much of that going on, right? Like, holidays aren't a particularly, like, you know, it's like, I mean, the baseline for the holidays is that they're, like, kind of a religious affair, right? And, like, I'm not a religious individual, but, you know, you still celebrate the holidays because even without the religion, they're a time for everyone to kind of get together and celebrate. You know, they come at the end of the year around here, so it's like, you know, you can enjoy having gone through a year. You can reflect on stuff together, talk about what you want to do the next year. It's just, it really is a good time for family, regardless of if you ascribe the, you know, the classical religious meanings and influences to it. So, you know, the result of that is when the holidays come around, I spend a lot of time with my family, and it can get exhausting. So I can definitely see having this game kind of in my back pocket, having some more stuff to do in it as an option, just in general, as being a good thing. Not that I couldn't just keep replaying it, even if I have already recorded and posted all the episodes, but, you know, as I said before, I actually really enjoy just sitting here blabbering on and on and on while I'm playing these games, and it just won't feel the same if I've already done it, you know? Like, there's something a little different about it being a new game that I haven't done this with. If I've done it before, it just kind of feels like I'm recreating the wheel, which just doesn't really get anyone anywhere. Not that I'm chasing the hustle, but I don't know, I guess that's just really what it's about. I would prefer to do more new stuff, even though I am replaying this game as it stands right now. I've definitely played this game before. Only beaten this game before. Not the SpongeBob maps. The SpongeBob maps have been new. And I have largely enjoyed them. This one at a few times has gotten a little, you know, been a little bit of a pain. Just because of, you know, trying to get all of the... Oh, the lab table. That's what we're still needing to get some stuff on. There it goes. And that should get the tubes for us there. Okay, I think we got the chemistry lab stuff all taken care of. What are we doing with time? Oh, yeah, we got 10 minutes. I think with just this and this, I think we'll let this episode, if it needs to go a little longer, we'll let it go a little longer, because I don't think there's another 40 minutes of stuff here. So we're going to go ahead and just we're just going to go ahead and go for it here, because I think this one, I mean, this one clearly has a few bells and baubles and buttons and stuff to kind of get, but I don't think this one is going to be as involved as many of the other ones. And I think those cylinders over there are going to be the same thing. I don't think they're going to be super involved. I think we'll be able to get this done pretty easily. Feels ill-advised to power wash a light bulb, though. I feel like that would shatter the light bulb. I don't know. I'm not actually a professional power washer, so I could be way off base from that. Professional power washers, like and comment down below whether or not power washing a light bulb is a good idea, a bad idea, or the best idea. You tell me, because I don't know. I suspect it's probably not a great idea. At least not for, like, the survival of the bulb. It's not like I'm sitting here thinking, like, if the thing would explode and spread shrapnel. Unless maybe it does. Oh, God, no. Don't cause shrapnel. Okay, shrapnel's bad. And if you're going to try and sit there and be all smart-ass about it and be all like, well, maybe if you're in the middle of war, you should go ahead and make some shrapnel because it's really effective, right? Grenades and stuff like that. And to my counter is, you shouldn't be in war. Like, none of us should be in war. Love and peace and all that, right? So, no, you still shouldn't be doing it. Even if you have a reason that you have to do it right now, you shouldn't. Okay? Yeah, so that sounds like a very post-Vietnam War take of blaming the soldiers for things the politicians did. A very dangerous take to be espousing here. Need to get this lever. There it goes. Okay, good. And just like make sure we get every little bell and whistle taken care of as we go around, just sort of incidentally taking care of the actual, like, console here. Come on. There it goes. Okay, good. I was like, what am I even missing at this point? Look, it's like a giant candy cane. Fun colors. Do 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 do. I know I still have to finish getting the candy cane looking thing over here, but I wanted to get a good swath of the rest of everything cleaned up there first. Not for any particular reason, that just kind of felt like what my brain wanted me to do at that moment, and I was like, you know what, there's really not a good reason to fight that. because this is all for fun and it doesn't matter. So I might as well just indulge whatever weird, insane things are going on in my brain that are telling me to do it this, that, or the other way. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it's good to try and take, like, you know, the whole mind over matter thing seriously and, like, try to, you know, be in charge of your thoughts and all that kind of stuff. Many situations where that's called for. And then there's also many situations in which it's like, you know what, if that's what my brain is going to request to me, then it's just easier to go with it than fight it because it's largely inconsequential. That's how I see... That's kind of how I see myself when I play this game, about whether I'm choosing to do it actually methodically by, like, kind of how I'm doing right now, where I just kind of go in a circle and get everything there, or if I get one specific thing and then get the items. And it just depends. My brain kind of understands which one I need to do at any given time, but I don't understand it. Like, my soul doesn't understand what my brain seems to understand, and one of those things where it's like, either way, I'm finding satisfaction and having fun playing this game, so does it really matter? Probably not. Anyway, how many people even know what the hell I'm talking about right now? Probably none. To be perfectly honest, I feel like I lost the thread of the conversation for a second there, and I'm the only one participating. Probably not good. Make sure I'm getting, like, this upper lip of the thing cleaned off too, just so that way I don't have to go around wondering why I don't have the base of it cleaned off yet. Oops. Yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and make this one long finale episode. So now the question is gonna be, am I gonna title it that it's the finale, or are we gonna let that be a surprise for everyone? You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it's good to let people know things. You know, let people know what's going down. Other times, it really can be fun to have a nice little surprise. So it's like, you know, what am I going to do? I can do whatever I want. That's the wild thing about it. It's up to me. It's up to me, and I can literally do it however I want. Wait, hold on, which... Oh, it's the chamber itself. Okay, we're almost done with that. I think we'll probably get it once we get all these big chunks done. Nope, just kidding. Okay, great. I love it. Like it, love it. Oh, we need, for some of these things, you gotta get low. You know, like to the windows, to the walls, kind of low. That one track, man, that song's getting pretty old these days. To the window, to the wall, to the walls, till the, and then, like, the following bit of it is, like, I don't actually even know what the correct lyrics are for that song, truthfully, because I've heard so many different versions of it, like, of people coming up with spoofs of, like, varying degrees of appropriate or inappropriate. Can I activate this? Oh, that would have been fun. I need to get the chamber itself. Okay, I feel like going around the lip is still going to be what I need to do to accomplish that. But yeah, like that song, I heard so many different versions of it, of people just, like, spoofing and parodying it, that I don't know what the real lyrics are actually anymore. Like, I could not tell you what they are. I think I know which ones are the real ones, but I'm not going to repeat those on this show that I don't want to have to mark for adults only. Of course, now that I said that, some clever little ding-dong is going to come and flag it, and then I'm going to have to choose whether I want to actually fight with YouTube, which we all know is just a complete waste of time and effort, or, you know, just like, I guess the worst case scenario is I would just be, like, demonetized, which, hey, guess what? I'm not monetized anyway. So, you know, take that as you will. I like that the bubble looks kind of like Meatwad from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Didn't remember that show? There's another one that might date me a little bit. The quality show. It's so stupid. So stupid, but so good. A lot of those shows. That was, like, back in the glory days of Adult Swim on Cartoon Network. Oh man, those were the good days. I remember first discovering that, like, as a kid, when I was watching Cartoon Network, and like I forget exactly what the reason was, like, you know, but for one reason or another, I was able to stay up later than normal because normally I would have had to go to bed. Maybe it's because it was like Halloween or something like that. But I was just in my room, or in the other room, probably the basement room. That was kind of where our rec room was back in those days. But I was just hanging out down there, and suddenly Adult Swim came on, and like, boy, oh boy, were my eyes opened about what different forms of entertainment could look like. I suddenly had new understandings of a lot of different shows and jokes and everything. It was, you know, my parents had only known back then, they would have been mortified. Kind of like the first time I ever saw an episode of South Park. South Park was an interesting one too because like, so like I had a pretty sheltered upbringing, which is code for my parents were attentive, and so I couldn't get away with watching too much garbage all the time. I don't mean that as too much of an insult against people. You know, different people have different sensibilities. It's fine. But like I was aware of South Park long before I ever watched the show because lots of other kids around me were watching it, and like I didn't, really know. I didn't know anything about it other than what the animation style looked like because it's just such a unique animation style. Um, and like I remember the first time I watched an episode, I feel like it was a Thanksgiving episode. It was the one with Gobbles the turkey, and I was beside myself as a kid, laughing so hard because that was like my first exposure to humor that was that wildly inappropriate as basically just like the existence of the character of Kenny, right? Or Timmy, excuse me. Like that was the type of character that like all of my sensibilities told me like that character shouldn't exist. That is so outrageously inappropriate. And I was amazed and so amused, and I loved that episode. And to this day, I still think about that episode all the time, and I'll see turkeys and I'll scream, "Gobbles!" And it's like, some people recognize the reference and other people don't, but it's like, talk about a core memory for me in my childhood right there. Anyway, sorry, Mom and Dad. Sorry to let you know that I was, you know, still a wee babe. Not quite a wee babe. I was probably middle school at the time that happened. I feel like that was when I first watched an episode of South Park. That sounds about right to me. Because that was the first time I started caring about that too. The thing about it was like, like I knew I wasn't seeing all the same shows that all of my friends were watching because my parents were, protected. They put like the parent locks on the internet and stuff like that. They did all that kind of stuff. I had parents that were like that, but I didn't think of them as being like helicopter overbearing. I just thought of it as like, yeah, no, I'm still a kid and those are for grown-ups. I'm not, those aren't for me, and I wasn't even really interested in watching them. That was the thing about it. Like it wasn't even like I wanted to and my parents would let me. I just was not particularly interested in it in the first place. And so like it wasn't until about middle school that I started actually being kind of interested in that kind of stuff and wanting to see more of those wildly inappropriate things for a kid, of my age at the time. I don't even know where that conversation started, my goodness. Oh yeah, it started with me acknowledging that the bubble looks kind of like meatwad. Ah, boy. I love rambling conversations like this. It's so fun to just kind of see where they wind up. Because the Lord knows I'm not planning anything when I start talking for these. I just start blah, 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 and seeing where things take me. Okay, we gotta find out where the bits that we haven't successfully cleaned even are. And what's wonderful about it is it's like the same color. the paint, like, yeah, the little highlight is the same color as what the actual tartar sauce here. So there we go. That part. There we go. We got it. Okay, good. How are we doing on time? Yeah, we're kind of normally at the end, but we've only got these few sections here. So I'm just gonna, first I'm aware. Yeah, because those don't need to be cleaned. Well, here, actually, you know what? Here's what we can do. We can check. Let's see where we're at here. Chemistry lab overhead lamp bulb. Oh, I gotta go grab that. Have costume display. Electrical device. Oh, bushing. So we got to get one more thing on the electrical device. We get that bulb. That pillar floor mount. One of the floor mounts still needs to be gotten. Okay, yeah. So we pretty much got it all. I'm just gonna tackle it. We're gonna go for it. This will be a nice long episode. And that's just what we're gonna do with this. Because, like I say, looking at all that stuff, I don't think I see another half-hour long episode in there. It's this one. This is the bushing that still needs to be cleaned a little bit here. Yeah, you can already see it. Okay, good. We got the bushing, and now it's one of these floor pillars, or the pillar floor mounts. Like this one. Oh, that one's the first one. First one that well, no, I guess that's the second one. There we go. Okay, good. I think that kind of handles everything other than getting our costumes. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's just do it. Yeah, I don't want to do a full other episode just for these, because I don't think these are going to take that long. I think these are going to be pretty straightforward shapes that will be easy enough to clean off. And, yeah, I'd rather just kind of go and get on with it here. So we're going to use a slightly longer thing because we're not being particularly close up with any of this. Maybe if we have to go along the top, I'll change my tune about that. But now, yeah, we'll just do this. This is good. I want to get this base, and then we'll start working on each individual, on each individual pillar there. Or not pillar, costume case, I guess is what they are. We'll do that. It'll be perfect, too, because that'll be about the time when I need to be done recording anyway. It's just working out. You know, I love it when a plan comes together. Anyone else know where that's from? That's from A-Team. I'm turning into my dad, sitting here quoting things and then just expecting everyone else to not know them. It's like, boy, oh boy, people besides me are cultured. There's going to be people who recognize these things. Just like I always tell my dad. Whenever he gets excited or impressed because I know a Beatles song, I'm like, Dad, I'm young, not stupid. Like, no, I know who sang Let It Be. You know, it's like, it doesn't have to be a big deal. But I suppose it's like, the thing that I can kind of recognize as I'm growing up more is it's like, it's not actually that he's surprised that I know things. It's more that he's excited. And I think it's just something that kind of comes with age. Because, like, he's excited that stuff that was popular when he was a kid, and we're talking, like, 60 years ago, they were popular for him as a kid. You know, when we're talking when he was a little kid, that was, like, decades ago. And the fact that, like, maybe some of the stuff that he liked as a kid is still relevant, that's probably pretty exciting for him. And it's like, I can recognize that as an adult. I'm mature enough now to recognize that he's not surprised that I know stuff. He's excited that I know stuff. Because then it's like, oh, cool, something that I know about is still, like, relevant and meaningful to people, which I can definitely see why, for anyone of any age, right, but particularly aging age groups, why that would be an exciting thing, right? Because it's like, you can kind of see your stuff, like, you know, because it's like the opposite impact of how, like, for me, I'm starting to see a lot of, like, the music and shows that I enjoyed as a kid or when I was in school. I'm starting to see those things start to be defined as, like, retro and old school. So it's like, I get it, you know, I can understand where maybe some older people are coming from with those forms of, like, excitement and surprise, because you just, like, it's shocking at first when you realize that your stuff is getting old. And then I imagine you eventually kind of go through the process of accepting that the stuff is old and recognizing that other people don't have the same memory or nostalgia about it as you do. So then, like I say, when something comes along and you hear someone who's, like, far younger than you, who you perceive as being someone who wouldn't even be interested, or rather wouldn't even know the music you listen to, let alone be interested in it, if they come along and express a knowledge of it and perhaps an interest in it, I can see where that would be exciting. But I feel like understanding that is something that kind of comes with maturity. Like, as a kid, it feels insulting because you're like, I'm not like, Dad, I'm not stupid, right? But it's like I say, they're not surprised that you know it, or rather, like they're not impressed that you know bits of trivia or anything like that. It's that they're surprised that you even care enough to bother learning it, you know, because there's probably a certain level of resignation to the fact that, yep, I'm old. The things that I like aren't the things that other people like anymore either, you know. And that, like I say, I could definitely see that as being something that will get harder and harder as I get older. And so, you know, for the people that are already kind of there and going through it, I can definitely see why that would be a hard thing and why it would be exciting to have something different, you know. I don't know, anyway. Did that conversation even start from? I don't even remember where my rambling thoughts start from. See, this is why I have to keep a journal about stuff. Like, I don't even know where my own mind is going half the time. It just kind of goes. Let it wander, see where it ends up. I can direct it, and I often do for things like work and doing other projects that are passion projects of mine and all that, but, like, you know, when I need to rein it in, I can. The real question kind of just ends up being, will I, will I do it at all? That's really just what the question is. Will I? And the answer is not unless I've got a good reason. And right now, I feel like I've got a good reason to not do that. I feel like the rambling kind of adds something to the streaming. Like, you don't want it to feel too scripted, you know? You don't want to, or recording, I should say. It's not streaming. I keep saying streaming because I tried the streaming thing and it just didn't end up being a good permanent fit for me. You know, now that I'm here, I like the recording better, but I'm still used to saying streaming. Recording. I don't know what point I was going to make. Recording something for YouTube. I don't even know what I am talking about anymore, and neither, I'm sure, does anyone else. I think the superhero is just called the Elastic Waistband. What a solid superhero persona. Although I have to say, I would probably go with the belt. I feel like the belt is an even bigger hero than the Elastic Waistband, but that's just me. That's just me. I'm open to debating that one. I can acknowledge that some people might argue that the Elastic Waistband is like... I guess the Elastic Waistband to me just feels like Belt 2.0. Right? So it's like it's the modern belt for the modern age. So I can understand why some people might categorize that as being a better hero. But I guess for me that just makes it so it's like, yeah, but the belt's like the OG. You know, the belt is the original hero. The belt deserves credit for kicking off the whole keeping your pants up thing, right? Like without the belt, we wouldn't have even gotten out the bathroom because we wouldn't have anything to hold our pants up, let alone get out the bathroom to then further invent elastic waistbands, right? So, just, it just feels like a, let's put respect where it's due type of situation. I guess that's just kind of where I'm coming from there. And hopefully people can at least respect where I'm coming from, even if they don't necessarily agree. We can all disagree on stuff. I just want us to respect each other, right? Respect. That's what it means to me. I started saying it, and I was like, oh, if I say it, then I'm going to be expected to sing it. And I don't really feel like trying to belt that out right now. Some days, but like right now I'm just not there. You know how that goes? Sometimes you're in the mood to do things, and sometimes you're just not. And that's okay. You don't always have to be in the same mood. Like some days, I might be in the mood to try anal. But like, that day hasn't started yet. Hasn't come yet. I don't know if it ever will. But like, it's okay. It's okay that I've not ever been in that mood. And it's okay if I never do find myself in that mood. It's fine. It's optional. Some people are into it. Sorry, that conversation took a very weird direction. I don't regret it, but I'm sorry I subjected you to it. Where did I put my ladder? Is it still... Oops. Here? You are. Come here, ladder. Gotta get ourselves up on top of here so we can finish off these things. We're very close. We're so very close. So very, very close. Oh my goodness gracious, this is gonna be a difficult thing to end up getting all of these, because there's probably just gonna be bunches of random little bits of shmoo all over. The rims still aren't there. Knew it. I knew it. Let's get back up there. There we go. Yeah, we've just got the 3 lids. We're so close. We're so close, and only like a 15-minute longer than normal episode. So that's pretty good. That's a pretty reasonable finale amount of, you know, overtime here. I think we can get away with that pretty just fine. Especially because there's nothing saying that I can't let it be that long. The only thing saying that I shouldn't let it be that long is me, and the fact that I want them to only be like a half hour long. You know, I want to just keep things under control for people. We've all got important things going on. I don't want you to feel like you have to be here for hours and hours to enjoy my content. I mean, I'd like it if you were here for hours and hours. That'd be a great compliment to me and what I make. But like, you don't have to. I don't want to subject you to that. I don't want to force the issue, you know. And like I say, I understand. We all got stuff to do. We got places to be, people to do, you know, all that kind of stuff. There it is. We did it. Team, we did it. I think that's the last one, too. It better be the last one. Let's see. Let's watch me clean it up. Boy, oh boy, this one's going to be kind of a chaotic thing of me going all over the place to get it all. And disappear for a little bit. And there we go. We did it. Awesome. Is that the last one? That's the last one. We did it. There's no new ones. We cleaned up Bikini Bottom. Go team. So I guess with that, I'll say thank you for joining me on this journey of cleaning up Bikini Bottom. I appreciate all the time that you spent with me, however much or little as it was for you to be here. I appreciate you. This is fun. It's good times. We'll come back with other games. So until then, take care of yourselves. Appreciate you. Love you. Go. You know, if you've got good relationships with your parents, go call your mom and tell her that you love her. And if you don't have good relationship with your parents, because your parents are real deadbeats, then don't do that, and be proud of yourself for making it on your own. Either way, do something good for yourself and for the people who are there for you today. And that's the good pay it forward that I wish upon you today. So anyway, I'll leave you alone now. I appreciate you. Love you. Bye.